Welcome back to another video. Today we'll continue the 1,000 subscriber extravaganza celebration. So a couple of things in today's video. We'll be selecting the winner, and then after that I've got a bunch of clips of me having little to no success on a number of projects I started and then never completed. So stick around and we will find ourselves a winner and then have some fun watching me have a terrible time at vintage computing. Alright, well, first things first, let's find us a winner for that Mac LC2 that I recapped last week. Again, if you're in the US, the continental US, I'm more than happy to take care of shipping that to you. If you're outside that region, then the shipping will be on you. So, I've got a list of all the subscribers. Did a little bit of testing with this randomizer webpage that I found, so I think this is going to work just fine for us. So, without further ado, let's, as Adrian Black says, get right to it. Alright, so I've loaded up all the subscribers here into this random picker, and I'm going to go ahead and pick a random item. Alright, fingers crossed that it's you. Here we go. Alright, Gordy12GG. Excellent, looks like we do have a winner. So alright, Gordy12GG, please get in touch with me via the email address on my channel page. You can click on more here, and then click view email address and prove to YouTube that you're not a robot, and then you can drop me a message. So hopefully I hear from you. If not, we'll have an update next week. Just a little bit of information about Gordy. Looks like Gordy subscribed to my channel on May 2nd, which was before the announcement of the contest, so got in there just in the nick of time, I guess, Gordy, and I'm really happy to hopefully be able to send this machine to you. And in the event that Gordy doesn't get back to me or doesn't accept the prize or whatever, I'm gonna pick like 10 more names out of here offline, so you don't feel bad in case you're one of those, so that we can go down the list and find somebody who can take this machine if for whatever reason Gordy can't. Alright, well, as mentioned, let's turn it over to other John and let's see some projects that didn't go as expected. Over to you, John.
Alright, and with the business out of the way, let's move on to looking at some of the projects that I have never completed and some of the failures that I've had trying to make videos for this channel. So when you watch a video, it looks like I know what I'm doing, it looks like everything's going smoothly, but that's definitely not always the case. Oftentimes I'll get stuck on something and have to spend some time on the internet or spend a bunch of time troubleshooting, and I don't always record that kind of stuff. So when you get the full video released to YouTube, it looks super smooth, it looks like I'm an expert, it looks like I know what I'm doing, and I can assure you almost none of that is ever true. But I do have some recordings of things that I did that didn't go so well, and I do have a project that I'm going to show you first that I didn't ever get around to completing. I hope to get back to it someday, but until then, enjoy what would have been a really awesome video.
So this is the Radius Power View. What is the Radius Power View? Radius Power View is a SCSI to video adapter for early PowerBook models. So this particular Power View came to an e-waste facility, and my contact that works over there let me know that he had it, and I said, yeah, of course, I want to have this thing. I tried to do a little bit of research on it and found that there's really not that much information out there. Fortunately, the couple of websites that are out there show the Power View at length, have great instructions, what drivers you need to get, where to get them, a link for that. So that's pretty useful. I don't think this came with the original install media, but there is a couple of copies on the Macintosh Garden and the Macintosh repository. Also, checking eBay, currently there's one for sale for $400, and there's no recent sales of this thing. It's probably not worth $400 because that item's been sitting there for a while.
So just to break in here quick, Sean over at Action Retro actually got one of these. He got the Super Mac version, but I think when Radius bought Super Mac, they just rebranded it as Radius, but it's the same hardware, I'm pretty sure. But Sean, Action Retro, he did a video on it, And I wonder if he bought the one that was $400 in eBay. No, because that was a Radius and his is a Super Mac. Anyway, there's a little bit more info about them now because of Sean's really awesome video, which you should go check out after you watch this video. But it's still a pretty cool device to have. So if we take a look at the back side of this guy, we can see that we have our two SCSI 50-pin Centronics connectors. One would be in, one would be out. SCSI doesn't care about which is which, so you can use either. Then we have a SCSI ID selector, so we can pick which SCSI ID it is. And then we have a Mac video port, and we have an SVGA video port. And we've also got the power input here as well. I did get the power adapter with it, although it's a pretty standard 5 volt 1.5 amp adapter, so that wouldn't have been the end of the world if we didn't have it. But we do have that, and I did test it out, and it does appear to be putting out good power. I haven't yet tried this on my PowerBook, but I do want to see if we can get it working. Hopefully it is working and doesn't require repair, but we'll find out here shortly. As you can see, the PowerBook and the PowerView have very similar styling. I wonder if Apple got mad and sued for anything there. I, again, couldn't find any information about it. I mean, it's just plastic molded lines that look the same on both, but Apple could be pretty litigious about things back then. But this is actually a pretty nice complement to the PowerBook 140, 150. It looks like it fits right in with them and came from Apple itself. So anyway, I don't know the status of this one. I haven't tried it out yet. I did download the drivers and copy them to an 800K floppy. I did test out the floppy drive in this PowerBook 150 and I know it works. So let's get back over to my bench and see if we can't get this thing connected up. All right, so here we are on the bench. As I kind of poked fun at in the intro to this video, the PowerBook 150 does not really have much in the way of expansion. We've got our power button, our indented reset switch, we have a serial port, a blank spot. I think this was used for something else on a different model perhaps. I guess I don't quite know. We have our SCSI connector, which is the Apple small form factor SCSI connector, and then we have an optional modem slot here, and then power input. Other than the floppy drive on the side here and where the battery would go, there are really no other input-output devices on this machine. So you really can't hook up an external monitor. There's just not a way to do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and make sure this is framed in camera. So I'll plug it in, and since it has no battery, it's just going to boot up as soon as I plug it in. I did make my PowerView 800K floppy here. Oddly enough, this is actually a new old stock 800K floppy disk. I was at Goodwill not that long ago, and they had a box of sleeved, still shrink wrapped 800K floppy disks. So I bought them up. It was like $2. Totally worth it. Anyway, so we're booting up here. So I take the floppy disk and put it in. It's going to go ahead and read that, and everything should be good to go with that. And there it is. So as I'd mentioned, there was not a lot of information about the PowerViews in general. In fact, on YouTube, there's only one video that came back from the search, and it was a capture of some, looks like Mac games made from using a PowerView into a capture card of some type. The couple of websites I found noted that without the actual original disk, the installer didn't work. But they did have a workaround. If we look in this PowerView software here, there are just 3 utilities, I guess, that we would drop into place. So there's the PowerView control panel, the Radiusware, I think it's a control panel, it might be an extension, and then SCSI probe control panel. I don't think SCSI probe is actually necessary, but that's just kind of helpful, I guess, to have there. But let's go ahead and try the installer, see if that actually works. Now, right now, I don't have it connected. I have it off to the side here. All right, so we'll go through the standard install here, hopefully. So it's just giving us information about the PowerView. So we'll hit OK on that first screen. All right, so it's telling us that it does not detect the device, which is fair. So let's go ahead and shut down, and we will connect it and then try again. All right, so the same welcome screen. Let's see if it detects it now. It still does not. Okay. So let's open up
SCSI probe and see if we can actually see the device here. All right, so it does see the radius power view as SCSI ID 4, which is correct. So that means it is at least communicating with the SCSI bus. So that's a really good sign that it's probably functional. So let's open up this radiusware and see if it is a control panel or an extension. So the other thing I saw is that somebody had gotten a power view running on their Macintosh SE30, but they were on System 7.1. It's possible here that System 7.6.1 is too new for the power view. So I might need to make a 7.1 system folder and boot off of that. Installing macOS 7.1.1 like it was the mid-90s.
So I made that last short because I was installing the earlier version of System 7, and then I tested again, didn't record it because I wasn't sure it was going to work, and it didn't work. So I put that project to the side and moved on to some other stuff. All right, on to the next failure.
All right, so today we have this Macintosh 2FX. This guy was found at a e-cycling center, and spoiler, it's got some pretty severe battery damage. So I'm not sure we're going to be able to get this one going ever again, but we shall try. So it's got these Apple 2GS style clips on it. The top opens up, and in here we can see the carnage. It is not great. So underneath the metal support here is where the battery was what's left of it. And then all around are chunks of destroyed resistors, destroyed capacitors. It's a mess. I don't think there's much hope for this one. There's some ICs that are toast as well. But I think we'll see what we can do. We'll get it at least cleaned up. I guess, luckily, you can tell the board was stored this way because all the leakage went down here instead of going up and destroying these cards as well. What cards do we have in here? A video card, and well, it looks to be a video card. So somebody was using this with 2 monitors and a TV, perhaps. But yeah, it's not. Prognosis is not good on this one. Anyway, let's take apart what we can take apart and see what we can find. So you can see along the board here, the battery was here. I think the other battery was up there, or was that where the crystal was? I guess I don't know where the second battery actually would go here. But anyway, you can see that there's a whole bunch of missing components. The silk screens are here, so there would be a resistor here. And this one looks like it's here still. This little component's gone. Resistors. The IC that definitely is going to come off the board when we get some vinegar on here. This IC is pretty toasted as well. I don't know what this is, just the inside is something probably. This capacitor here would be an easy fix if that was the only problem, but it's not. Then unfortunately the RAM sockets look like they've probably taken some abuse here as well. So yeah, prognosis is not great on this one. But let's get it out and let's get it into a vinegar bath to at least neutralize whatever alkaline elements are still present on the board. Alright, so the first thing to do is to take out the video cards. So this one is a Radius video card from 1989. There's no real writing on it. Model number, I guess, might be TPD 11-M. Who knows? And we've got this card, which I think is probably a TVO card. Let's see what it says. Spigot Nubus Supermac Technology. So presumably this is an RCA composite out video card, but not sure. And then the last one That's interesting. We've got a big old AMD chip on it. An AMD 2900. This appears to be a video card as well. It looks like it has an option for some additional video RAM on it. It says copyright Apple computer, so I guess Apple actually made and sold this card. Then it's got some Apple custom ICs on it, produced by Toshiba. Very interesting. This is the Macintosh Display 824 GC card, I guess. But it appears to be in good shape. So this is the vinegar I like to use. It's 6%. You can get this in the cleaning section of most stores. I get mine at Target, I think. So I'm just going to pour that directly onto the board here. And then I will mix in some hot water to make sure that it gets evenly spread around. Just want to kind of cover the spots. Alright, now we're just going to let it soak and see what it can dissolve. Oh, I'm probably also going to use my old trick of the electric toothbrush to kind of try to scrub some of that crap away. So, let me grab that. Yeah, here's my electric toothbrush. I'm just going to work on some of these areas here. I don't know if you saw that, but one of the switches just came off. That's either the programmer switch or the reset switch, and that's just the vinegar finishing off whatever little bits of metal were left in there. So that was already pretty much toast. Definitely not electrically conductive, and you'll see that happen with these battery damaged systems where you get the vinegar on there and it just finishes up whatever's holding things on. So that one's gone. I wouldn't be surprised if this IC fell off as well. All right, I'm just gonna hit it with another splash of vinegar here to make sure we've got a good amount working. And I'm just going to let it sit. All right, we'll check in on this guy later. So as predicted, that board was really in rough shape. I still have it. I would still like to think that I'd take a crack at trying to repair it. But it's going to need a lot of work. I'm sure there's a lot of trace damage, and since it's a multi-layered board, I'm sure it's going to need a lot of bodging. Now, what I thought about doing was trying to find a replacement 2FX board on eBay, so I could at least, look at what the components were installed on it, where they were supposed to be, what the values of like resistors and things like that were, so that I could replace them. But the 2FX boards on eBay were super expensive. I found one, and it started off with like a starting bid of $100, which okay, but almost immediately it was up to like $450, $500, and that was just more than I was willing to spend on a board to just kind of look at components on. Sure, I could have just shoved it in there, but that's kind of not the point of what I was trying to do to this machine. But while I was looking for it, I had a thought. So when Apple released the 2FX, they released the 2FX upgrade kit for the Macintosh 2. Now the Macintosh 2 was the same form factor as the 2FX, and basically this was just a new system board. You'd take your 2 board out, you'd put your 2FX board in, and boom, you're upgraded to 2FX. The price was slightly cheaper than buying an entirely new system because you used your case, your power supply, hard drive, all the stuff you had, you just pulled the system board out. But you did need new RAM because the 2FX RAM was not the same RAM that Apple used anywhere else ever. So you'd have to get new RAM with the new board. But what I found was a Macintosh 2 board on eBay for cheap, untested. And I thought, hey, maybe I could do the reverse upgrade. Instead of going from the 2 to 2FX, I would go from 2FX back to the 2. Yeah, okay, sure. So I bought the board. It was fairly cheap, and of course it needed to be recapped, which I did. I plugged it into the power supply. Nothing happened. And of course you do need to have both batteries installed for it to even attempt to boot, which I did, and nothing. So I recapped it, and then let's take you to that video where I show you what goes on next. So hook the speaker up. We do need to get some batteries here. Let's see how we're gonna do that. All right, and for the batteries, I've got 2 of these Mac bats. I've got a review about these on the channel if you want to learn more about them. So I'm gonna go ahead and Insert my CR2032s into both of them. And then I will be using, well, I think I could potentially do that, but I'm just going to use some clips. I'll even use the right colors.
The Macintosh 2 board had batteries that were soldered on, so I just cut the leads, and that's why I have to clip these replacement batteries on instead of just dropping them in the sockets that don't exist on this board.
Alright, so I'll just clip these on. I'll just double check my voltages here to make sure these are good still. 3 volts and 3 volts. Like the power supply wants to start up, it just can't quite do it. Yeah. So I think we have a problem in here. All right, fair enough. So I think the next thing we need to do is take our power supply apart, see what's going on there, and see if we can't fix that.
So I assume the power supply needs to be recapped, and that's not out of the ordinary, and that's not a big deal. So I went online quick to check to see if Bruce Rain had on his recapamac.com.au site had a guide for Macintosh 2. I went to Console 5 to see if they had a kit, and both of those I couldn't find any information. So what I needed to do is take the power supply apart, find the values of the caps, order those one at a time off of DigiKey, and then recap the power supply. And this board should probably work after that. However, I kind of got into another project, and I never really got around to taking that power supply apart and getting it recapped. I hope to do it someday, but I didn't finish it in time to get a video together. All right, well, let's move on to the next failure. I pointed last time, I'm going to point this time. All right, so here is my HP ProLiant DL385 Gen 10 Plus V2 server that has a power issue. I have left a single drive in. I've pulled all the rest of the drives out. I have a single CPU. I'll take out this stick of RAM. And now I have a single stick of RAM on the system. If I go around back, you can see that the LED on the power supply is green and solid. Come back around front, push the power button, you get nothing. There's no LED indication on the health status LED. System does not appear to be functional. Alright, so that was actually a video I had to shoot for HP Enterprise. It had a server that wouldn't power on, and they told me to troubleshoot by doing all the steps in that video, and they still didn't believe me that it wasn't working. So they had me record a video to prove that it wasn't working. That was the video. So they ended up sending me a new system board for it, and they said we can send someone out to install it, and I'm like, no, I can do it. So they did, I got it, I installed it, and it didn't fix it. And I told them that, and they said, okay, now we're going to send somebody out. And they sent somebody out with a new system board, and that didn't fix it either. So what actually had happened in this case is that there was a short on the network card installed on this system. So we found it by taking components off, including the network card, which never would suspect that a bad network card would cause an entire server to not start, but the power supplies have short detection, and when we took the network card out, it booted right up. So it wasn't a problem with the system board at all. HPE very generously sent me a replacement network card under warranty, and things were good. So that's a bit more modern, not really vintage, but I thought it'd be fun to include anyway, and I had the video and never intended to make a video about that. That was really just for HPE. But let's get back to some vintage stuff and look at a cassette drive for an Atari. All right, so I've got it apart and I've got it in play mode. It's hooked up to the Atari 400 here. So this little spindle here, this little pointy thing, is what spins. This is what feeds the tape, and I think it's supposed to be spinning this, and this isn't spinning.
You see it kind of does a little bit on its own, but it's really kind of just not working great. And that is, I believe, where the problem is. So it's just rubber on metal, and I think that rubber is old and bad. So I'm going to try to clean it. May not have the best luck with that. I don't know if I can find a replacement washer, I guess, but I'm going to figure out how to get that out and see if I can't clean it. All right, so I actually needed to refer back to some video to see how to put it back together. So I didn't get a time lapse of that one, but anyway, let's turn on the Atari. We'll hold down start. And I've got play pushed here. So then I hit return, and that'll start it up. All right, well, it's loud. It's spinning, and it's lopsided. But it's spinning. Let's give it a try, see if anything happens. All right, so I loaded darts in there. We'll power on the Atari. And we'll hit return. Whew. This does not sound happy at all. But everything's spinning. Okay. Not great. Yeah, so that didn't quite work out. But I think I was on the right track with that one. I just couldn't find the right rubber washer, rubber ring, whatever it was to go on that spindle to drive the tape mechanism correctly. I checked all over, hardware stores, Amazon, just couldn't find the part. I think I even posted in an Atari group on Facebook, and nobody seemed to have any answers for that. I did end up buying a second tape drive off eBay for, I think it was like $5 because the connector was cut off, and it had the same problem. So apparently being stored for 40 years in a single position causes the bar to indent into that washer, and then it just doesn't work anymore. I guess the big problem with this one was, so with a Commodore 64 tape drive, it plays the tape as audio, sends the audio to the Commodore 64, and then it turns it into digital data on the machine itself. With the Atari tape drives, it does that analog to digital conversion on the tape drive itself, so you can't just, hook up a headphone cable to your phone and play the recording of the tape back to the machine that way. And plus, I do have, I think 6 or 7 games on tape that I wanted to see if the tapes even work, so that's how I got involved in that mess. All right, I think I've got one more video for you. Let's move on to that one. And let's reconnect the Blue SCSI. I'd be very surprised if it was the Blue SCSI causing the issues here. I'm going to reconnect the floppy too. I know typically you want to troubleshoot one thing at a time. I don't think the floppy is the cause of the crashing, so I'm just going to reconnect that at the same time as the hard drive, the Blue SCSI. If it turns out that we still have an issue, I'll disconnect one at a time and troubleshoot it that way, but I think we've got a good shot of having it work now. No. So is it the Blue SCSI? That would be weird if it was. Alright, so let's turn that off. Let's pull the Blue SCSI back out. Yep, just let the air into a CRT. Not good. So anyway, that's it. I just wanted to share some of these, various clips with everybody, so I hope you enjoyed. And congrats again to the winner. And we will see you in the next video.
Hi guys! Make sure to like and subscribe and watch more of our videos later. Bye!